Welcome back to the Red Stool, and today we're talking about My Hero Academia, Chapter 345, Division. Now, we pick up right where we left off with the walls of Troy separating and surrounding the villain groups, and they begin to push them towards the next set of warp gates. And even though the villains, they're able to make short work of the walls, it's more than enough time than the heroes need because they're right on top of them, knocking the rest of them through the warp gates and successfully dividing and setting up phase 2 of All Might's plan, where we have All For One, and he's outside of the ruins of Gunga Villa, where the Paranormal Liberation Front actually became a unit. And I love how Hawks, he just like out of nowhere shoots in and tries to decapitate All For One and put an end to this as soon as he possibly can. Unfortunately, due to his upgraded battle gear, All For One, it nicks his armor and he brushes it off. Just a side note, I love how All For One has been illustrated throughout this war arc so far, with him in his new battle ready headgear, which is like reinforced. You have the glowing lines and still like that shadow of his face. It just looks really cool. Plus the fact that he's actually abandoned the suit jacket. He took it off. He's rolled up his sleeves, and it's just all symbolic of how he's ready to get his hands dirty. And he immediately begins to talk down and berate Endeavor plus the rest of the heroes and their so-called master plan, because he says, it's why would you separate us and try to attack us in smaller groups when, one, the heroes, you're already depleted. So breaking up your numbers doesn't really help you. And you're also making the assumption that you can beat us in these one-on-one fights that you created. So just by gauging of his response, I don't think he's too worried as far as him and going head to head with the top 2 heroes in Hero Society. And he also goes out of his way to take a quick dig at Endeavor's parenting because, of course, when you cut over to our next battlefield, you have Dabi and Shoto. They're facing off against each other in the shadow of All Might's statue commemorating his final stand, which just all the symbolism right there. It's not too many words. It's just that one panel, but in that one panel, Horikoshi, he's able just to convey so much to us. You have Endeavor's son, whose entire life revolved around Endeavor living inside of All Might's shadow. And now they're going to face off against each other. One hero, one villain, of course, in the shadow of this statue of All Might, which heavily symbolic. Ida, he's also there. And of course, Dabi, he's being accompanied by some Nomu. This battle in and of itself is going to be crazy. In their fight over their ideals, who's Endeavor's biggest success / failure. Not to mention that we have Toga, and she's actually facing off against Uraraka, Froppy, and surprisingly Deku, because she was able to use her blood-sucking support device, almost mirroring Black Whip a little bit, and she used it to snatch Deku through one of the portals. But where it really gets interesting is his danger sense didn't activate, which means basically she's not there to fight him and doesn't have any ill intent towards him at the moment. What I'm guessing is she more than likely just wants to ask him that same question she asked Uraraka and kind of challenge his ideals versus her own distorted ones. And of course, just like the conversation with Uraraka went, depending on the answer he gives her is going to determine the outcome of this battle. Because we all know 2 chapters ago, Deku and Uraraka, they were talking and they couldn't both help but want to see the victim in their villains and want to save them, really. And I think that this first battle between them is going to be heavily indicative of how the rest of these battles go. Are they able to become the greatest heroes that can redeem their villains and save them? So, of course, that's on the table. But I also like some of the other villains that are with Toga, because one of them is the same water villain that they faced off against in the attack on USJ. So I'm definitely looking forward to see Froppy fight him just so she can show all of her growth as a hero. But with Deku in the wrong battlefield, that leaves Bakugo, Best Genis, Edge Shot, Mirko, and a few other heroes left to face off against Shigaraki. And we all know just how much of a beast he is, even if he did get mildly nerfed by Stars and Stripes and that last attack with New World Order. He's still going to be plenty of trouble to deal with. And now these heroes are going to have to adjust majorly because they're left without one of their biggest hitters in Deku. But hopefully, not hopefully, but it's Bakugo. He's going to stand up to the challenge, or hopefully not. Hopefully he does not die trying, but seeing as though that's the situation that Horikoshi has put him in, unfortunately it's a possibility, but I'm pretty sure the Explosion Murder God Dynamite himself will rise to the occasion. Plus, we also know that All For One and the rest of the pro heroes have taken an extensive and new provisional method against Shigaraki being able to use his decay quirk. So I'm pretty sure that's going to compose of the Phantom Thief, Monoma, copying and using Eraserhead's quirk. Maybe he can copy the same quirk 3 times. And hey, maybe we'll even see Shinzo slide in and try to use his quirk to hypnotize and stop Shigaraki as well. And I have to say, the battlefield that Bakugo and Shigaraki are on currently is my favorite one because it's literally the entire school of UA. It has hovered and lifted off of the ground. There's like this impenetrable dome at the top encasing Shigaraki in. And I just have this feeling that UA is currently going to be flying through the sky on its way to Shiketsu in the west. That way they can completely engulf Shigaraki, because without Deku, they're going to need the numbers, and it would put him even further away from All For One, which is pretty smart. And for the most part, All Might's plan has come completely together. We've got these separated villains, and we're going to have the heroes engaging them in these semi-one-on-one group battles where it's going to be a lot more that determines the outcome versus one's strength. It's going to be your ideologies, the emotions that you have going forward in this situation. These battles, they are carrying a lot of emotional weight and depth into them, so I'm super looking forward to them. They've been set up perfectly. Horikoshi didn't just shove it together, even though he could have just put Dabi and Todoroki in front of each other and say, oh yeah, they're going to fight it out because they're brothers. No, he has the perfect background to kind of just put the end cap on each and every one of these stories. I'm really excited to see where these battles take us, and just the second half of this war. Plus, we know that All For One, he's still really confident in their ability to win. Plus, he still has Spinner and his mutant attack force to call on him. Even though I would like to see Spinner be challenged by Stain, his quote-unquote idol, just to put him in check, really, and show him that, hey, you're a wannabe fanboy whose heart isn't in the right place. But of course, these are my opinions. I'm dying to hear yours, so go ahead, head down to the comments. Let me know, who do you think is going to win what fight? Which hero, which pro? Do you think we're going to get some losses in this? And just how you're feeling the chapter and the way the series is wrapping up so far. Thanks for sticking around. I'm going to see y'all later, all right? Peace.